Well, thanks everyone for being here. I'm really excited about this. This is, well, obviously I'm really excited about it, but I'm awake at 3 o'clock in the morning. This is our first community day, and we're going to be focusing on continuous integration. We'll be doing 3 meetups over the course of the day, trying to cover kind of convenient time zones to allow everybody in the GitLab community to participate. Before we get into the meetup, I just wanted to let folks know that we'll be recording this and publishing this on our GitLab YouTube Unfiltered channel, or GitLab Unfiltered channel on YouTube. So if you're not comfortable having your image shared, please keep your camera off. But if you are comfortable, it'd be great for everybody who's participating, and especially Abubakar, our presenter, to be able to see your faces and your reactions as he's going through the content. With that said, let's get started with the meetup. So hello, everyone. My name is John Coughlin. Before we get started, I just want to reinforce the importance of our code of conduct. At GitLab, one of our values is diversity, inclusion, and belonging. And so we want to make sure our community is welcoming and inclusive. And we ask all folks who participate in our events, including virtual events, to abide by the code of conduct. I'll share a link in the Zoom chat. You can take a quick look yourself, but if anyone feels like there's kind of bad behavior or anything that's making them uncomfortable, or any types of abusive behavior, please send an email to conduct@gitlab.com so that we can work to resolve that issue. So thanks for joining us, and we're excited to have you here today. I'm just going to share that email address in the chat in case anyone needs it. So for folks that are new, I just wanted to start with a quick overview of GitLab. GitLab's a complete DevOps toolchain delivered as a single application. So it's one interface, one kind of conversation, one permission model. We have thousands of features in the product, and we're releasing new features every month on the 22nd. And you'll be amazed at everything that GitLab can do. I know that I am. And we're just getting started. We're still a young company, and as I said, we're shipping new things every month. So it's really, an exciting kind of tool and something that's growing and evolving. And one of the things that's really exciting about it is that it's an open core company. And so we have an open source version that everyone can contribute to. People can even contribute to our company business processes. We're very transparent company. Our handbook that we use to run our business is publicly available. Folks can read it, copy it, fork it, contribute to it. And it includes our roadmap strategy, everything we do, how we run our company, how we run our team. The developer evangelism team at GitLab is all there, and for kind of people to see and learn from. And we're also one of the largest all remote companies in the world prior to COVID. We were the largest all remote company in the world, but now there's so many people forced into remote work that there may be some other companies that are bigger than us. So for today, we'll have a great kind of meetup plan for everyone. Abubakar is here to present about continuous integration, and he'll do kind of an intro and a demo. And then if we have time, we'll go into breakout groups. And the idea is just to kind of have some of that informal conversation that you get at a normal in-person meetup. And so we hope that everyone will stick around for those. Couple small requests. I hope everybody keeps their camera on as long as you're comfortable having your recording shared. If you could stay muted while Abubakar is presenting, that would be great. And if you have a question, feel free to unmute and verbalize or type it in the chat box. And yeah, one other thing we like to do is just see where folks are joining from. So if you could share. And yeah, and the other thing would be just kind of close your tabs, mute Slack and relax and enjoy. And yeah, and I'll be back later on to send everyone into breakout rooms. But for now, I'll turn it over to Abubakar.
Awesome. Thank you very much, John. Let me start by sharing my screen. Oh, great. Yeah. First, I'm Abubakar Siddiq Ango. I'm a developer evangelism program manager at GitLab. And today we'll be speaking about GitLab CI. Yeah. And for those of you that want to tweet and also share this with the rest of the community and your followers, you can use the hashtag GitLab Community Day. So it will be great for everyone to be able to benefit from the awesome content we'll be sharing. Now, my presentation will be in two phases. We have first the introduction to GitLab CI itself, what is it, and how you can benefit from using it. Then the next phase will be a workshop-like demo where we'll see different functionalities live of GitLab CI and how you can make good use of it, especially the security feature, which allows you to secure your builds and make sure you build secure applications. So the introduction first, I'll go through a couple of concepts, GitLab Runner, and a couple of other key information that you need to know before you start using GitLab CI. But first, the key concept. Just like Red Bull, GitLab CI gives your code wings to fly right from when you've pushed your code all straight to production. And at every stage of your development process, be it testing, be it building your application, be it checking to make sure no one pushes secrets or anything vulnerable out, down to your application going live and monitoring, GitLab CI/CD handles everything for you. And for a primer, because I'm assuming we'll have folks across different experience levels, those who are completely new to GitLab CI and also those who might be experienced. So I'll try to be as basic as possible so that we can carry everybody along. GitLab CI mainly works with jobs, which is just a set of instructions that you want to be executed against your code. Probably you want some dependencies to be downloaded. You want the application to be built in a particular way. All these jobs that you would normally do manually are the set of jobs the set of tasks that you specify in a job for GitLab CI to execute. And these jobs can be segmented into stages where you probably have some jobs that will only run so that you can test your application. It's different set of jobs that you want to run to build the application, and a different step to probably do some other things that are necessary for your application to be built in the way you want it. This set of jobs is what we call stages. Then we have environments, which can be your test environment, your staging environment, your production environment. Different stages of your jobs can run in different environments so that probably there's a particular way you do your deployment for the testing environment. Everything you need for that environment to function properly will be within that environment, and no job will run in an environment that it has not been set. Now, to make environment work, we need variables, probably some specific information that the environments need or might be, probably it might be SSH keys. It's not advisable to put your keys in your CI platform, but if a typical scenario for environment variables here is to put some keys or some specific information that GitLab CI needs to run for those specific environments. And you can segment them for your testing, your production, and all the different environments that you want. At the end of the day, when your job executes, it can produce outputs or binaries, and these are what we call job artifacts. They are what it might be an APK or a final build that you will be sharing with your users, or it might be a binary that will be reused by other stages of your jobs or by other systems within your infrastructure. But everything here wouldn't be possible if there is no server that is executing and making sure all these jobs run, which is where the GitLab Runner comes in. Now, the GitLab Runner is written in Go, and it mainly sits on a server connected to the main GitLab server. And anytime any job that is required to run or any pipeline is required to run, the GitLab server notifies the GitLab Runner and it executes all the jobs while providing all the necessary information and logs back to the GitLab server. And it's highly scalable. I think GitLab.com itself runs across several thousands of fleets of servers using VMs. And anytime you try to run a job, a new VM is spun up and it runs every time. Imagine the millions of minutes that are executed every time on GitLab.com itself. So it's highly scalable and it can handle almost any type of deployment that is thrown at it. Now, one advantage of GitLab Runner also is you can decide to set it up to be instance level, maybe on your GitLab server itself if you are hosting it yourself, or you can connect it to GitLab.com. Now, GitLab.com also provides our main software as a service, provides shared runners that people can use with some free minutes, and you can buy more if you want. But if you are hosting yours yourself, you can probably have a particular runner for a group of people. Maybe there's a team in your company that works mostly with GPUs. A runner can be set up for them that handles almost any projects that they do. Now, if there's now a particular project that requires probably to build iOS devices, you can have a runner running on a Mac and attached to a project. So you can do instance level, you can do group level, and you can attach a runner to a specific project, which gives you a lot of flexibility. Now, in the CI/CD industry, there are a couple of times we have CI itself, which is the testing phase, the stage where you make sure every component of your code is behaving the way it should. Then we have continuous delivery. Continuous delivery is where after all the testing has been done, your application has been built, an extra manual process is required for it to either go to production or for it to be released to your users. Now, but for continuous deployment, as soon as all the builds and everything necessary has passed, it deploys straight to production. So the main difference between delivery and deployment is one has a manual process and the other can be made to go automatic. Now, in GitLab CI itself, we have 3 to 4 key stages where CI/CD really functions in all the different development stages that we have. The first one is the verify. Now, it's not just enough to test your application code against all the test suites you've created. You also want to know if some level of quality is achieved in your code. You want to know if any of your developers have mistakenly pushed secrets to your repository. You want to know if no one has packaged anything that is not approved. Probably there are some certain dependencies that you've not approved within your company, or some licenses that your company doesn't use due to legal reasons. You don't want anyone to mistakenly push them. So all these can be done at the verify stage where all the testing and integration is done. Now, and one of the very important feature with our CI is review apps. Now, let's say, for example, you are building your website. You have it live in production. Then someone reports an error. Your developer works on it. How do you test? How do you see the new changes as been implemented without it necessarily going straight to production? So from within GitLab, we can automatically deploy that change that has been made to a specific environment where you can see the changes that have been made, review them, make all the comments you want in the issues. More changes are made. You can still preview the changes in the review app before it gets to production. All these can be done with GitLab CI in the verify stage. Then in the package stage, we've worked quite a lot recently in making sure that building your application and testing is not enough. Now, almost all of us work with packages. For example, if you're using PHP, you have composer packages, you have NPM, and so on. GitLab CI also allows you to publish all these your packages to a container registry or any other package registry within your GitLab instance. So all the building of your applications, and you can set up dependencies to use those packages that has already been built within your GitLab right from GitLab CI. And the next thing is release, which is where a lot of the fun happens. Now, as soon as all the verification and packaging has been done, you want to be able to deploy your application either to Kubernetes cluster or to your EC2 instances or anywhere you want. So you can configure your GitLab CI configuration to deploy your application straight to your Kubernetes cluster or to a canary environment that you have to test things, or you can even specify feature flags where certain features are released to users and not everything at that moment. So that's one of the flow, the workflow for GitLab CI/CD, right from you pushing your code to verification to packaging and also straight to deployment or delivery. Now, the key thing here from everything I've been saying is pipeline. Once you've created your jobs, they are all grouped into stages, and all these stages form a pipeline. If you can see in my presentation here, we have 4 stages: build, test, staging, and production. And the build stage has 1 job, while the test stage has 2 jobs, test 1 and test 2. All of them together becomes a pipeline. And with GitLab CI, you can have different types of pipelines. The basic one, just like the one we have here. Then we have directed acyclic graph, that DAG. Now, this allows you to specify dependencies for jobs. That's if a particular job finishes, it should trigger another one. And a different job should depend on if a particular job has executed successfully. This is useful for people that are building complex systems, probably like operating systems or any other complex application. Let me show you an example of what a DAG pipeline might look like. So you have builds, you have tests that depend on certain builds, and also some deployments that depend on certain parts of your pipeline. So this is an example of what a DAG pipeline looks like. You can dig more into it in our very descriptive documentation to learn more. Now, other types of pipelines that we have is multi-projects. You can set up pipelines that depend on multiple projects, parent-child pipelines. A particular pipeline should execute after probably a pipeline running in a different project has been executed successfully. Then we have pipeline for merge requests and pipelines for merge request results. Now, pipelines for merge request results is where the pipeline executes depending on the result of a particular merge request. Then we have merge trains. Merge trains involves different merges being set to execute within your project. Not necessarily yours, probably due to certain reasons, your organization has decided, okay, we need to do our merges in a particular order at a particular time. So you can have a merge train where you set a merge request to be executed in sequence at a particular time. Now, the next thing is, how do you configure GitLab CI? How do you make it work? As soon as you set up your project, the main thing that the GitLab server looks for is the gitlab-ci.yaml file. Once this file is created and it's detected within a project, all the instructions that has been specified for it are executed. For example, in the image on this slide, you will notice where a simple HTML application is being deployed to to GitLab Pages, our hosted Pages platform. So, and certain scripts has been specified, and a location where the final output will be created is also specified in the artifact section here. And we've also specified here that it should only execute, this stage should only execute when a commit is done to master. Now, GitLab has also made sure that it's easier for almost anyone to write a GitLab CI file for almost any type of language. So that's why we have templates. So we have several templates for different applications that you might want to build, from C++, Android to Go, and so on and so forth. Now, we've also taken it further to AutoDevOps. AutoDevOps is where we use cloud native build packs and a lot of other technologies to allow you automatically build, test, deploy your application without you having to write a GitLab CI file. All you need to do is just to push your commit. Once you've done that, GitLab automatically detects if it's Ruby, if it's PHP, if it's anyone, builds it, does all the necessary testing it's supposed to do, and deploys it. You should try it out. Now, and AutoDevOps works with Kubernetes, and also very recently, we introduced support for AWS EC2. So you can deploy your applications to your fleet of EC2 instances. Now, one of the very important features of GitLab CI is DevSecOps. Previously, most people build their applications and do their deployment, only leaving security as an afterthought. But here, we are shifting to the left and making sure security is part of the process right from the beginning, from running static application security testing to that, to dependency scanning, container scanning, license compliance, and almost everything you need to secure your application. So we also provide a security dashboard where you can see all the vulnerabilities and issues that have been detected with your code, and allows your security team to have an interface to be able to monitor and preview anything that is happening within your applications. Now, the next stage, I won't be going much into it, but just to introduce is GitOps. GitLab has taken it further, where the current way GitLab CI works is using the push strategy. That's anytime you push your commit, it pushes the repo and everything necessary to the GitLab Runner to execute. One of the side effects to this is the GitLab Runner has to be able to communicate with your GitLab instance, mostly over the internet, which can prevent its own security challenges. But now with GitOps, where you are using Git itself to build and maintain your infrastructure, it's more like infrastructure as code on steroids. You use Terraform or any other technology, you write the way you want your infrastructure to be, use GitLab CI to push those changes to production, and automatically, probably your Kubernetes cluster is automatically configured and provisioned as it should be. Or if you're using something like Ansible, all the necessary configuration and everything you need your infrastructure to be is automatically executed. And you get the benefit of having a version infrastructure that you can use to recover at any time there's an issue within your infrastructure, or maintain a history of how changes have been introduced to your infrastructure. Now, we've also introduced GitLab Kubernetes agents, where instead of pushing to the GitLab Runner, an agent sits within your Kubernetes cluster and polls for changes within your repository. That way you can stay behind the firewall and be able to pull any new changes that have been introduced to your infrastructure without any security vulnerability. Now, that's all for the introduction that I have. I'll be moving next to the demo, which I'll be walking through a couple of examples of how you can use GitLab CI. Here is a link to the demo presentation so that even if I'm unable to exhaust everything there, you can walk through and test some of these labs yourself. Let me switch. Did you have anything you want to say, John? I noticed you came back online.
Yeah, I was just going to say, before we move into the demo, if anybody has questions, I feel like now could be a good time to take a pause for questions. So if anybody wants to turn their microphone on and verbalize a question or put it in the chat, now would be a great time to do that. Okay. Let's see. Can you post the link in the chat? Yes, we can do that.
Okay, sure. Oh. Let me.
I've got it, I think.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, so first, how exactly do you start with GitLab CI CD? Here is a new project, freshly created. As you can see on the screen, okay, let me increase my fonts. Let me zoom in to make it more glaring. Now, to make things easier, GitLab first presents you with an action button here where you can click straight. Of course, you might have your code already and specify, oh, I want to set up a GitLab CI first. Now, you will notice the file name has automatically been created, and you can select, like I mentioned earlier, you can select from a ton of examples for different languages. Probably you want to package Composer, you want to run Gradle, and so on and so forth. Down to security section where you can specify any of the templates. You don't need to have to write yours or have to go through the stress of knowing what to write, especially if you are new to this. You can select any of the examples provided here. But basically, just to show us how GitLab CI works, I'll just be running a couple of jobs to see how it functions and how you can diagnose when things probably go wrong. Now, first, you need a Docker image because GitLab uses Docker image to box whatever job that is being run into its own closed environment and for it to be executed. The first thing you will start with is a Docker image it needs to use as the base image to work with. You can specify an image that has all the dependencies that you want. One of the tricks I do is to create a Docker image containing everything I need for my application to work so that I don't have to download every time. Then I will specify Alpine test here, then specify a stage for my CI to run. Let's say, for example, just a simple test. Then I specify the scripts it should work with. Now you see it's automatically aligning the text for me. This makes things easier. I don't have to decide whether I need to do tabs or I need to do spaces. Then the only thing I want it to run is just exit one. And let's see how it works. So once I commit the changes here, GitLab, ordinarily, I should have come to my settings and specify what runner I needed to use, especially if I'm within an enterprise and I need to use some specific runners. But here, I don't have any created. Yeah, all these ones are ones I've used previously at the group level. But GitLab has several shared runners that can automatically run my application. And I can decide to specify tags for my job so that certain runners can run certain jobs for me if I've seen some specific ones that I require under GitLab here. For example, if it's a Windows application, I can specify that I want the job to be run on a Windows runner. Now, let's see the pipeline that I just executed. Oh, it failed. Yeah. Let's see. It failed because I asked it to exit one, which is a a code for failure. So let me change it to show that it's successful. And you can see right from here, it should have shown me my pipeline failed. So let me change the file to something like exit 0, just for us to see how GitLab handles a failed pipeline and a successful pipeline. Okay, you can see from here, my job is starting. Yep, and it should succeed. With all the details you need to identify, okay, how was your job run and all the different stages that were executed. Now, the next thing I'll be doing is how do you work with variables where, okay, you want to specify certain variables that need to be used within your application. You have different options. The first one is you can decide to specify the variables themselves within your application, within your CI file. This way, variables, or maybe specify something like name, something like then I can come to my script here and just echo now.
Abubakar, can you just zoom in on that that view a little bit to make it easier to read the text?
Oh, okay.
Thanks. That's great.
Okay, thank you. So what I did here is to create a variables section and specify the variables that I want to use within my job. The disadvantage here is these variables will only be executed for this job. Now, for this pipeline, I mean, since you can have several jobs within your application. Now, let me scroll down and commit my changes. The other option you have is to specify variables. You go to settings, CI/CD, and specify variables that can be used within your project. You can click on add variable here, specify which environment scope it should be used in, and what type of variable you are creating. So you can also take it up to the group level where you can use a set of variables across all your projects, across all the projects within the group. This makes this easier, especially when you have multiple projects that are created every time, and they all depend on a certain set of variables. You can simply just take them to the group level. And as you can see here, my variable is executed. Now, in the lab document that is being shared with you, this is the lab. The link I shared earlier, there's a project specified there. You will notice right here, this project. You can fork the project and use it to follow all the examples that have been specified. There are tons of examples that will allow you to learn more about GitLab CI here. So I already have it synced to, I already have it synced here. And it contains a few examples of code, some Go code, a GitLab CI file, and a .env file. So we'll be using this as an example to go through some examples of how to use CI, especially the security part. Now, so first, let's use an example template. Let me go to Web ID here and create a new file and choose a template. Go. So just by selecting going from the templates here, it has already provided me with a sample of a CI configuration that I can use. So let me zoom out a bit. It's a bit off. So all what this will do here is help me compile my Go code and make the binary available for me to use. So what Go code do I want it to execute? I want it, here is an example of them. We have the main.go file here, and all it does is basically to retrieve an environment variable called hello from and display some of these strings and display the strings here. Now, let me commit the changes I just made, and we see how the CI would run. Now, let me create a branch, simple test. For example, for the sake of time, I'll create a batch request. Okay, so let me go see my pipelines. Okay, now you see here, the pipeline has been created with 2 stages, test and build, and 2 jobs, format job and a compile job. Now, the format job will run some Go scripts that will make sure my application is in the right format and way. Then the compile code will just go straight to compile my application and provide an artifact for me to use in subsequent stages. Okay. My code has failed. 1216, undeclared name. Now, let me go back to my code and see what's wrong. Main.go here. Oh, the import statements are commented out. So let me fix that. So these are the ways where you can get feedback. You can be able to know some of the things happening within some of the errors or issues that have been introduced within your code right from within GitLab CI. Oh, sorry, let me switch branches. Remove this and remove this. Awesome, we fixed it. Then execute. Now, in order to save time, we have, when you are going to your own practice, we have an example GitLab CI file that already contains some of the tasks you need to execute and some of the labs you need to go through. Let me show you the file. You can go through the CI file and see all the necessary changes that you can go through to make sure this code works. And some of the variables have already been set. If you follow the slide provided, you will see how you can work with all of this. Now, I'll be going through another lab which does something different. If you notice, within my files, it's wrong, I have to click twice. I have a .env file, which is a serious security issue. And if I open it, it contains AWS key, which is serious. So now, how do I make sure things like this don't happen? So it's for me to use, let me go, oh, sorry. Let me go back to my CI file and add a stage to my configuration. Now, what it will do this time is to make sure anytime a secret, either through a .env file or any other means, is not exposed within my code. Now, all I need to do is, let me change. We have an example here, secret detection. Now, this uses the default GitLab CI template to help you scan your project for any security vulnerability. So I will just go straight to use this. This has a bunch of other information that are not necessarily relevant for this session, but you can go through it subsequently and see what they do and how you can take advantage of them. But on the slide, it's a more simpler code. I'm just using this so that I'll be able to save us some time to see exactly how this works. Now, let me commit this. Let's see what it does. Secret detection. Now, there's also a functionality within secret detection CI itself that instead of probably just checking your current code to see if any secret has been detected or exposed, you can set it to scan through all your Git history, all your project history, to make sure that at no point in time during the lifetime of your project has any secret been exposed. This way, you'll be able to identify if previously some information was let out that was not supposed to be. Okay, let's see, it's scanned. Let me check again. Okay, let me go back to file and edit. GitLab CI, edit. Okay, let me make a small change. The default template is not giving me what I want, so I'll be using the example in the lab documents provided. So let me execute this one more. Now, the change here is it's running the same security detection. And if you notice here, I'm including, instead of using this template here directly, I'm including the template within the GitLab CI file and overriding some of the function that it's performing so that it can, one, scan my project historically to see, like I was explaining earlier, scan my project historically to see if previously, not just the way the project is now, previously, has any secret been exposed, and generate a report for me in a JSON file. This report should expire after a week. You don't want to accumulate a lot of artifacts and end up filling up your GitLab instance. Okay. Let me check. Pipeline, it should execute quite quickly. Oh, okay, done. So let me check my security tab here. Now, you can check my security tab here. It shows critical, AWS API key. Now, one of the beautiful thing about our security detection is we have support with services like AWS where we can detect that the secret of this particular service has been exposed and go as far as providing remediation functionality where if you set it, it can automatically initiate a regeneration of your API key, so that if this is already exposed, we don't know who has it, why don't we just go straight to generating a new one? So, but that has to be configured separately. So here it provides more information about, okay, what was exposed and other information. And you can go straight to creating an issue with your security team or any other person to specify what has happened, and they can pick it from there to fix any issue. So I'll be stopping here with my demo. I've spent more than the allotted time, but I'll be walking you just through this document here that we've shared that you can use for your lab. It contains all the examples that I've spoken about with some more information. You can go to, you basically need to have a GitLab account for sync the project and walk through each example here, one step at a time. It includes examples also that I didn't touch, I didn't work on due to time. So you can follow them and learn more about some of the awesome functionality that GitLab provides, especially the security part, because we all have to shift left now and make sure we build more secure and robust applications. So I'll stop here if you have any questions.
Thanks, Abubakar. That was great. If anybody has any questions they'd like to verbalize, feel free to unmute and just say your questions out loud, or you can put them in the chat and I can read them for you.
I think I might start with the first one. Abubakar, I noticed that you applied the security template to the GitLab CI YAML file. Does this replace all of the contents of your existing GitLab YAML file, or does it add that those security bits to the existing contents of the file?
Now, once you change, if you already have a CI file and you click on the template, it's replaced the existing contents you have. So that's why if you notice the new CI I created, I included the template itself at the top of my, let me see if I still have it here. Instead of having to use the templates by clicking through GitLab itself, I went straight to specifying it inside the CI YAML file myself. So it will be better if you want to include just the security part as part of your CI file, to include it in text instead of having to use the functionality there. That will save you from having to lose the existing CI configuration you have. It might probably be custom and not from a template.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, great. And we have a question from Ritesh in the chat. He's asking, or they're asking, whether, so they're saying they use Firebase more often. Can I build Firebase CI with it? So does GitLab have support for Firebase?
I think we do. Let me see. No, we don't have a template, but it's custom. Anything that you can run within your terminal, you can do it in GitLab CI. All the ones here are just examples that you can use or tweak to your own configuration.
Yep, and it looks like one of our teammates, Brendan O'Leary, actually wrote a blog post on using GitLab CI with Firebase that I just linked to in the Zoom chat. So Ritesh, if you're looking for more info, that blog post could be a good place to start. And a follow-up question is, so we can build a custom template, right?
Yes, you can do almost anything you want within GitLab CI. If it's something you can write, you can run in normal Linux command line, you can do it in GitLab also. Or Windows or Mac or any other platform, as long as you have the right GitLab Runner installed.
Thanks for the question. Any other questions? All right, well, I think one thing I like to do at the end of these presentations is ask people to unmute and just give a round of applause to our speaker. So if people will just indulge me for a second and join me in giving a round of applause for Abubakar for leading us through the workshop and demo today. It was very
much, Abubakar.
Thank you.
I know you worked hard on that, so thank you for putting that together and kind of showing us all the things that GitLab CI can do. I know in the beginning I'd mentioned that we would go into breakout groups, but we are kind of running short on time today. So I think I will skip the breakout groups for today. The good news is that we do have 2 other sessions planned for later. So if you're looking for more GitLab CI content, or if you're really eager to participate in a breakout group, I would ask that you join one of those sessions, and hopefully we'll have time to get to the breakout groups during those ones. So yeah, I want to thank everyone for today. In addition to the Community Day CI sessions that we have planned for later today, we also have a meetup coming up on December 15th. That one will be an AMA with the GitLab CI team. So if you're part of our GitLab virtual meetups group, you will be able to find the event there. I also just posted a link in the chat. So please take a look at that and join us at that event. We'll have 4 folks from the CI team answering your questions and also giving a sneak preview of some of our plans, including a visual pipeline builder. That's pretty exciting. As promised in the meetup event page, we mentioned that there would be some special swag that we'll be giving away. Please make sure that you keep an eye on your notifications for meetup, as we'll be sending out a form to collect people's contact info so we can follow up with the giveaway. And then lastly, I just want to put out this call to action around our remote meetups. We've been doing these now since March. We really enjoy having the opportunity to get together with our global community, and we'd love for you to continue to be a part of these events. If you're interested in being a speaker, or hosting one of these events in your local community, or even just proposing topics, it would be great to hear from you. You can reach out to me and the team through the email address evangelist@gitlab.com. I'll put that in the chat as well. We'd love to hear from you if you're interested in kind of participating in a future GitLab meetup. And then, yeah, lastly, I just got one more question in the chat. Are there any Slack groups? We don't have a Slack group right now. We do have a Gitter community, so you can access that through Gitter. I think it's gitter.im/GitLab. Let me just pull that up quickly. Yeah, so it's gitter.im/GitLab. And there's a few different channels there, but we also do have some discussions in the works around a Slack group, and it seems like there is interest from the community to explore maybe adopting a new platform beyond Gitter. So stay tuned for more on that. With that being said, I think that's all I've got. So I'm going to end the meeting and just leave it with a big thank you to everyone who participated. We're really excited about this community day and really happy to have you all here participating. All right, take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Abubakar.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks, Abubakar.